Hello everyone. This show is brought to you as a courtesy of Raj Malhotra's IAS Institute, Chandigarh. Today, I, Ayush Gupta, will be discussing with you today's Indian Express's explained section that talks about the national education policy and its impact on higher education. So, first of all, by means of this show, that is the booster shot, I, Ayush Gupta, cover for you on a daily basis the big picture of the Rajya Sabha TV, Indian Express's explained section, and the Science Monitor by Rajya Sabha TV. In order to ace any competitive examination, you are not required to have loads of amount of information, but the key lies in constraining your sources of knowledge, and the sources should be such that provide us with perspective and certain points which are unique so as to improve our answers. It is for this very reason that I've selected these three segments from the mammoth sources of current affairs. So, let us first look at the context as to why this topic has been come into picture. So recently, the Delhi University has given its approval to introduce 4-year undergraduate course from next year. So, let us see, as I generally do, I try and frame a question, and while answering that question, we'll get to know about the article and the entire scope of it. This also helps us in preparing for our mains answer writing. So, the question is, what are the steps to be undertaken under national education policy to achieve the higher learning outcomes in higher education and multidisciplinary learning? So, वह कौन से steps हैं under NEP which will be taken up so as to increase higher learning outcomes. Basically, the focus today is on higher learning outcomes in NEP, कि आप ज़्यादा सीखें rather than कि ज़्यादा syllabus cover किया जाए, and also to provide it with a multidisciplinary approach. Why multidisciplinary approach? For example, today, if you are studying any particular subject, that subject is not entirely enough when you come into the dynamic job market. Today, the entire economy is linked with one another. You may find on a daily basis that loads of engineers are today in the banking sector. So, rather than half of the jobs of IT engineers we are finding today in banking sector and finance sector. So, in this very manner, we can understand as to how and why people need to adopt multidisciplinary approaches. So, the answer is, let's start with the answer. So, the following changes are in the process of implementation to achieve the goal of higher learning outcomes and multidisciplinary learning. So, what are these changes? Let us have a look at them. So, yes, these are the 5 points with respect to higher education. Number 1 is breaking disciplinary barriers. Number 2, 4-year undergrad program. Number 3, academic bank of credit. Number 4, introduction of regional languages and national entrance test. Now we're going to look at all of these topics one by one and see as to what these topics entail. So, breaking disciplinary barriers. So, higher education in India, as I told you, is generally confined to a particular subject. What this policy tries to do is increasing the horizon of the student. So, NAP aims to change this and make courses more liberal and achieve knowledge beyond one's specialty, so that an individual is not handicapped. Any work, any field in which an individual goes, today he is required to interact with people. He also needs to have social skills. Even if you are a plant head, an engineer, mechanical engineer, still you'll need to know as to how to deal with the social dynamics of the people working over there. So, every academic program will include some subjects which are outside the scope of speciality for which the program is curated. For example, if you are studying engineering courses, then certain courses, certain subjects with respects to arts and humanities will be added in it. And if you are reading arts and humanities subjects, then certain subjects with respect to science will also be part of your curriculum. So, for example, recently IIT Bombay has taken a step towards this direction. it has launched a program known as LASE program. So this program will include not only engineering subjects but also liberal arts, sciences. Why liberal arts? So liberal arts basically would comprise of all the subjects, some amount of history, some amount of political science, some amount of economics. So this is with respect to liberal arts. So then, as to how is this going to be done? Naturally, faculty programs need to be developed, faculties need to be developed. In an engineering college, we now need to find a faculty of liberal arts. And most importantly, now faculties have to interrelate these topics with the real life scenarios. So for this very purpose, a program of the government, the scheme is Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching. So this is one such program undertaken by the government in this direction. Moving forward towards the next step. So the next step is 4-year undergrad program. So this is another step towards incorporating this multidisciplinary approach and breaking this single speciality barrier. So as we all know that except certain courses such as MBBS and BTech, most of the graduation courses, bachelor's courses, are of 3 years time frame. So what this does is, now 1 year additional is going to be added to the undergrad course. So what will happen is, this is going to provide the children, the students, extra time in order to gain this extra knowledge, the scope of learning which has been enhanced. Then the students will get this extra time to incorporate those subjects also. If you are an arts graduate, if you're into humanities, there might be certain mathematics subjects, certain subjects relating to sciences that you will now need to cover up. So in this very manner, you'll also be requiring some extra time so as to cover your major subject. We are having majors and minors. These majors are those subjects which we study all throughout the program in our graduation. Minors are those subjects that we study for certain number of semesters, not the entire semesters. So in this very manner, we'll also be able to provide extra and ample time to the study of our major subject. Now, this is going to increase 1 extra year into our study program. This has been a big issue and there have been a lot of protests against this earlier on also. But this time the government has accommodated these concerns in this very policy. When was this program earlier brought in? So a 4-year sort of a degree was introduced by DU only in 2013 as well. At that point in time, there were a lot of protests against it. Many number of people said a lot of things against it, and ultimately the government, after about 1 year of all the entire criticism, had to roll it backwards. However, now the criticism that is coming up, one thing is very natural. Whensoever any policy is going to come up, 1 or 2 individuals, a certain section of the population would naturally speak against it. So an individual can only satisfy certain number of people. It is beyond one's capacity to satisfy all of us, all the individuals. So how is this policy different from the earlier one? So while the earlier policy was just enhancing the graduation time frame, in this very policy, the system is different. So how would this policy work? In this very policy, it is not actually scrapping the 3-year degree program. Yes, even after increasing the undergrad program to 4 years, it's not still scrapping the 3-year program. Rather, it has added a new dimension to it. So now, if you complete 1 year, you'll be getting a certificate. If you complete 2nd year of your undergrad program, you'll get a diploma. If you complete the 3rd year, you'll get a bachelor's degree. And if you are completing the 4th year, you are going to get bachelor's degree with research written on it. And this you will get if you have done a rigorous research with respect to your major subject. A rigorous project with respect to your major subject needs to be submitted to you. So this very program is actually giving the students a chance to even drop out in between. Basically, one is not required if the individual says that I can only study for 1 year. Earlier, what were people saying when the earlier policy came? That, sir, 3 years is a long enough time, and while you are putting this into 4 years, we cannot afford this. The government says that you are saying 3 years is a long time for you. Your conditions are such that you cannot study for more than that. We are giving you another opportunity. Even if you want to discontinue your studies after 1 year, still then, we are going to provide you with certain credentials. आज तक क्या होता रहा है? What is happening till date? If you have entered into a course supposedly, and you are not able to pass the last exam in the third year, you are not able to pass those last exams, and you fail in those examinations, what will happen? You will not get any degree, any sort of credentials would not be added to you. You will just be a 12th pass. However, this system is going to change this thing. What is going to happen? अगर वही वाला सिस्टम जब चलता रहता है जहां पे आपने फाइनल ईयर के अंदर you have not been able to secure some marks and you failed, and this takes away all your efforts towards those 3 years, and you will just remain a 12th pass individual. However, this system that is going on does not take into account or does not give you any credit for those 2.5 years, 2 years that you have actually successfully passed the examination. So the new NEP proposes that if you want to discontinue your course after passing first year, you will be given a certificate. After second year, diploma. After third year, bachelor's degree. And fourth year, a new thing would be added. A new credential will be added to your degree. That will be bachelor's in research. And this is sought to be promoted by the government although. So this is with respect to it. Then let's move to the third, that is academic bank of credits. So what is academic bank of credits? This is a new concept that the government is trying to introduce into the India, and this concept is basically, we can say, being taken inspiration from Canada and certain concepts which has been going on around the world. So what will happen under this thing is the government is going to create an online depository of credits, and every individual will have an academic account over it. So along with whatever degree or certificate that you earn over here, you will also be provided with certain credits for completing that course or for studying that subject successfully, and these credits will be added to this online depository. So what will these credits be used for? So these credits will serve as a recognition that you have completed certain amount of courses, and these credits can then be used if you want to migrate to other universities. Let us first understand as to why one would need to migrate to other universities. The government today recognizes that education is a dynamic field, and an individual should be able to get into university and enhance his skills at any point in time he feels or deems it necessary. There might be a situation that just after first year of your study, you feel that a very fabulous business opportunity is coming up, or someone is offering you a job and your family needs that money. You might be willing to drop off and join that job. But later in life, when you are settled, and then you feel like that you should be having a graduate degree would have given you an edge in your entire life. But then how do you continue that very course? There is no way out to it. However, with this academic credit system coming in, you will get a chance so as to join college and universities whensoever you want in your life, whensoever you want to continue with these studies. What will the other university do? The other university is going to see whensoever you want to join again, is going to see your credits, and it will see, as per that very credit, it will decide as to at what level the university is going to give you admission. So by analyzing those credits, the university will say that okay, now we can give you directly admission to the second year. So in this very manner, this system is giving individuals the flexibility so as to enter into education, move out into education, and re-enter into education. Basically, education needs to serve the utility of time, and this has been recognized by the government. There's a lot of possibility that today the courses, with the changing world and innovation that's coming up and the market needs that they're coming up, people need to reskill them every day today. And you never know that today what you have studied, after about 10 years, the world is so different that it has no value at all. So at that case scenario, what are you going to do? Rather than becoming a roadblock towards this change in the system at that point in time, you will be having an option so as to join the wagon and go and reskill yourself and move ahead. So let us now look at the features of this very thing. So in writing, I have brought it out here. Multiple entry and exit options, as I've told you just right now. Flexibility of curriculum framework. So when you are entering after about a while, then you will be having the flexibility as to choose amongst the subjects. It's not like that I had taken admission in BA in that very program and these were the set of major subjects that we had to study. Now, when I'm re-entering the college after about 10 years, there would not be a compulsion on me so as to select only those subjects which were available at that point in time for the second year. Today, after 10 years, I can choose those subjects which might be relevant to the market, and this is offering me an enormous amount of flexibility with respect to curriculum. And in this very manner, education has to be relevant to an individual and should not be taken as only a means so as to fulfill some academic thing for your marriage and stuff. So education should serve a purpose. Bank of academic purposes. So just imagine, why would you need this depository? For example, you've done the education from certain college. After 20 years, there are people who after their retirement want to start studying again, wants to reskill themselves. You never know if the systems are already available in your earlier college or not. And when you go over there and for verification of your records, the new university might ask you to go and verify these credits that you had gained while you had studied earlier from your earlier university. And you might find a lot of difficulty in doing that things and that stuff. So with this depository coming up, it will be easy so as to verify it, and the credentials will be added by the authorities at the time when you are into their departments, and these will be there for lifelong purposes, and it is going to prevent you and save you from a lot of hassle. So yes, this is indeed a innovative measure. Then, introduction of regional languages. What is the purpose of language? Language का purpose होता है communication. So yes, if I say something to you, even in Hindi today, if you are able to understand what I'm trying to say to you, then the purpose of the language is solved. The purpose of communication is solved. I do not need to tell the same thing to you in some fancy English that you are not able to even understand. What would be the purpose of that thing at the end of the day? This has been recognized by the government today. The government, otherwise in university courses, the education, the teaching medium was till date mandated to be in English only. And which is also the very reason why all the curriculum and all the things today are written in English only. The government has today recognized that and taken into point that people in our country are more comfortable in understanding stuff in regional languages. And because of this language barrier, there are a number of students who do not enroll into colleges. Many a number of times this happens with us also. Many students ask us to speak in Hindi, some people ask us to speak in English. Although generally I conduct my sources in bilingual manner, many a times we have to conduct our sources in English because we have to reach the entire people in the entire country and not just limit ourselves to North India. However, just understand the plight of an individual who is not able to understand what I'm saying. And just at the moment I start speaking in Hindi, that very individual will come here and say that I am speaking, the concept was very lucid at the end of the day. The concept was very simple. And why were you making it so complex? This reminds me of the Three Idiots scene. In that Three Idiot movie, or for those of you who have seen it, when the professor asks Amir Khan as to define what is machine, he gives an enormously simple definition with respect to his zipper, linking a machine to his zipper in Hindi. And then Chatur Ramalingam professor did not accept that definition. And then Chatur Ramalingam had given a definition, full-fledged bookish definition in English, and the professor was fine with it. But doesn't this show the hypocrisy? Should language serve as barrier to knowledge and information? This would be a colonial mindset from which today we have trying to overcome. And naturally, for this very purpose, implementing this purpose, the barrier that is going to encounter is to develop materials, curriculum in English, in the regional languages. So for that also, the government has identified number of special institutes which is going to serve as nodal institutes so as to develop curriculum in that very subject. So as of now, about 14 engineering colleges have taken permission from the government so as to start certain courses in their subjects in regional languages. Now understand this very thing when we are speaking of this. Even when they are converting these technical subjects into regional languages, the technical words would remain in English only. It's only what you say the grammar that is going to come up in the regional language. And beside this, there will be courses under the policy, it has been envisioned, that separately people will be told English, people will be taught English. So neither would this hamper the individual's capability of understanding English and his prospects in the international market, nor it is going to hamper his learning outcome. Then lastly, we have the national entrance test. Although it is still in the proposal stage, however, this is a very noble initiative that the government has thought of. So under national entrance test, what the government is proposing is that the NTA, National Testing Agency, should conduct one examination for entrance in universities. First, with respect to the central universities, and then it could be incorporated with the permission of the states. States universities can be incorporated into it. So these tests would be of certain standards, and students would have to meet certain standards so as to clear these tests. This is going to, first of all, set up a uniform standard system, and also going to work as a cost-saving mechanism, not only for the students who have to fill up numerous forms and fend around for themselves when the admission stage comes in, but also to the educational institutions who have to set up all the time the separate committees of preparing these entrance tests and conducting these entrance tests. And it is also going to provide transparency in education system. Another thing that we can think of that this thing might introduce, whenever such a competitive examination comes up, and then we see as to where the toppers are going, and from that very thing we can decide as to which institution is performing better. So in this very manner, this would be a kind of way in which, from the students' choice of admissions, choice of colleges throughout the country, we can evaluate as to which institution is working fine. So yes, these are the four things which are with respect to the changes that NEP seeks to bring in the higher education program of India. This can be said that the main aim is there are two main aims of NEP with respect to higher education. One is introduction of multidisciplinary approach, and the second is with respect to higher learning outcomes. These need to be remembered, and along with this, these 5 points. The first one is, I think there was some numbering issue at that point at the last slide. However, you know that we've covered about 5 topics. That is, first is breaking disciplinary barriers. Second is 4-year undergrad program. Third is academic bank credit. Introduction of regional languages. This is 5th number. That is national entrance test. So yesterday we were not able to put up a video with respect to the booster shot. However, another faculty, senior faculty of our own institution, had put up a video with respect to the Malabar exercise, and I would be covering up freedom of navigation on Monday with respect to, in context of Malabar education only, Malabar exercise between the Quad which has taken place recently and is taking place, and it ends on 29th. This was given in yesterday's Indian Express's explained section, so don't worry about that thing. I'm also enclosing the PPT of this very presentation today along with for your reference. Should you have any doubts, feel free to put those doubts in the comment section, and have a nice day. Good luck with your preparations. Thank you.